I'm so glad you have decided to join us today for the Focus program once again. Stay focused. We are here in our studio and we have prepared another great program for you on today. And we're so delighted to be able to come into your homes and your offices, over the internet, wherever you may be viewing this, as we come again to share with you what's going on in the city and in our world today. Today we have with us again a very special guest. He's a young man, a very young man, a community political activist here in our city of Muskegon, Michigan, and his name is Taiwan Thurgill. Praise God. I said that right, didn't I?
Yes, sir, you did.
You looked at me kind of funny. I said, well, maybe I didn't say it right, but I hope I got it right. Yes, Taiwan Thurgill, and he's with us today, and he's going to share some things that are going on in his life and in his activities and his career. He's doing a great job striving to be a model citizen as well as a young man growing up in these times in this 21st century. So we want to welcome you, Brother Thurgill. Thank you so much for coming and spending the time with us today in the Focus program and sharing with us. Again, this young man is a young political activist in our community, and he's working to make our community as well as our nation as a whole a better place. He's also attending school, and he's in college here in Muskegon Community College, doing a great job, and he's on his way to do great things. Praise God for you.
Thank you. Now, I have to carry around more often. You do a job, you do a better job introducing me than I do myself.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yes,
it's
sir.
my pleasure. My pleasure. Great. Great to have you, though. Great
Good
to have
be
you.
here.
Yes, indeed. Well, tell us a little bit about Taiwan. Let's hear a little bit about you.
Well, I was born and raised in Chicago and moved here once my grandfather got sick.
Okay.
My freshman year of high school, kind of got the eyes into things, and I was like, I really want to get involved in debate like I was in Texas. So got involved in debate, and that's what led me into getting into politics. We discussed very interesting topics. We discussed things that were prevalent to the issues that were going on. I met a couple people who were important politically, dragged into a couple political events. And then Brandon Gemser, he's an organizer now for nurses. And he said, hey, you should come to a local party meeting. I ended up going to a local Dem party meeting, and that's where I got my first job working for Jerry Sabo.
Okay.
Volunteered for him for a while, helped get him through a primary, and then later on get him elected to state rep. Then I moved on to Colin Lamonte's campaign. Unfortunately, didn't win that campaign, but I got some good experience. And that's kind of how I got involved in politics.
Okay.
I've done lots of things like organizing. We organized things in response to Charlottesville. We organized different marches and protests, quite a couple of vigils. And then I started working with other people running for office right now. I'll be working with Adam Bell. I'll also be working with Robert Davison. So I think he's running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, so it'll be our district. Okay. I think that it's about time we get a good representative, Democratic representative in the 2nd Congressional District. We haven't had one since 1967.
Okay.
And as of right now, that's kind of where my main focus lies, is making sure we get a representative who could represent us in the best way possible, represent the views that we stand for.
Okay. Okay. Well, good. You're pretty busy, huh?
Yes, sir. I stay pretty busy. During these times, we all laugh and joke that, cough becomes a food group. You live off emergencies because you're always getting sick because you're not sleeping, and you really don't sit down and have a whole meal from this point into November. So we live off Oreos, Nature Valley packets, anything that you can grab and go. That's pretty much what we live off.
Right. Well, that's great. Yes, and this year is going to be exceptionally busy because this is the midterm election year, and so there's going to be a lot of political activity, a lot of speeches, a lot of rallies, a lot of signs and calls and all these kinds of things. So I'm sure that people like yourself will really be out there and really moving and shaking and doing all the things that need to be done to make this happen.
Yes, sir.
That's good. So you looking forward to it?
I'm without a doubt looking forward to it. I think that we saw in a couple of key states this year what exactly happens when Democrats turn out to vote. In Virginia, we got the House vote down to 1 vote. And we won in a state in Oklahoma that Trump won on a 2-to-1 ratio. In Alabama, out of all places, we got a Democratic senator to win in Alabama. That doesn't show you the progress that we're making, but beyond that, it shows that Trumpism is not working well with people. It isn't resonating well anymore. He isn't bringing out the change people thought he would bring. So I think that we're looking at some very key things here in the 2018 election. I think that we can see seats that we didn't see as flippable now, like the 2nd congressional district. Actually, we haven't had a Democrat there since 1967. If there was ever a time when it was possible to flip that seat, it's now. So Republicans are doing a really good job of keeping people like me employed. I mean, they're making my job very easy. So I love it.
What's one of the top issues in South or in Western Michigan, rather, that you see as far as the need for potential candidates should address that are affecting the residents of West Michigan?
I think there are several issues. I think the easiest one I pick off the top of my head is gerrymandering. Western Michigan, just Michigan in general, has the 2nd worst state as far as gerrymandering goes, only 2nd to Wisconsin. There was a study done by several political scientists who looked at all the different states and saw how bad our districts were drawn up, and it's become very clear that our districts are not drawn up fairly. It's not really possible that when in a mostly blue state like Michigan, that for some reason we still haven't elected a rep since 1967. A state like Alabama is only 22 years. It's because our districts are drawn up to favor Republicans. And so the group Voters Not Politicians done a great job of getting signatures out, and now we should have a ballot initiative coming up in this November to get gerrymandering drawn up and our districts drawn up by a nonpartisan commission. I think that that's a good move to make sure that when people go out to vote, they know their vote matters, not just, oh man, it's going to be Republican no matter how I vote because of the way my district is drawn up. So if you're a candidate who truly wants to resonate with the people and truly get people out to vote, gerrymandering is likely going to be your topic.
Okay. So we have to pay attention to that.
Yes, sir. I said that there should be a ballot initiative on this November 18th election not November 18th, November 8th, in order to make sure that we get the drawing of our districts moved to a nonpartisan.
Now, explain that a little bit, because someone listening may not really fully understand what exactly that means.
So every 10 years we have a census, and the census determines how many people we have in these areas, and based upon that, we get to redraw our districts. So one thing that happens is that Republicans often like to draw districts to where we're going to get strong Democratic pockets, and we know we'll get these great Republican areas that will carry us through the district. And one thing they do is they draw districts based upon race. They know that black people likely to vote Democrat and white people likely to vote Republican. And there's a case in the Supreme Court case right now that says that that's probably illegal. So what they're doing is, once we get that decision reversed, we'll be able to cross-apply it to Michigan and bring that to our state and say that, hey, you can no longer draw districts by race. But in the meantime, that Supreme Court case hasn't passed, what voters are politicians doing is saying that, hey, let's make sure we get these drawn in a fair way so districts are 50-50, and then that way we campaign on the issues. Every side has a chance to win, and it's truly going to be who a better candidate is and not who draws the better district.
So you can stack the deck if you get to draw the districts in your favor.
Yes, sir.
Kind of makes it unfair.
Exactly.
Unless you're the one drawing the district.
that's very true. It's that. So don't get me wrong. Like the Democrats have areas like California that will always go Democratic, right? So sure, like, will lead to some potential changes in that, right? But I think that it's important to make sure that no matter which side of the aisle you're on, Republican, Democrat, Independent, that you feel that I can go to vote and my vote matters as much in Texas as it does in Democrat and California. And I think that that's a very important issue. It's not about making sure that Democrats can win, it's about making sure that there's a 50-50 district drawn, and that when people go out to vote, they know that, hey, my vote is going to matter. So it just comes down to who's actually running the better campaign, and who's speaking to the will and the needs of the people of that. So I think that's what we need to get in politics.
Good. You seem very passionate about this. Where does that passion come from?
Wow, where does that passion come from? I was 10 years old when I knocked on my first door with my mom. And I used to wake up, every morning my mom would be gone on a Saturday. I was like, Mom, where do you go every Saturday morning? She said, you know what, I'm going to take you with me one day. And she volunteered for the 17th ward. And she would go around to our community and ask people, hey, what's going inside of your community? What can I do to help change it? What problems are you having? And she would, try and go back and fix these problems. And I think the thing that got me was seeing the people's facial reactions when the problem they said they had got fixed. It's just, I guess it's kind of like an adrenaline rush when you see the direct effect from the work that you've done affecting someone. And that's when my love for politics was born.
Wow. All the way that far, huh?
Yes, sir. You got to start very young.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Things like this, do develop at a very young age, and we're very impressionable at that time in our lives.
Yes, sir.
And it's very important that parents expose their children to the right things, because you never know kind of an outcome that's going to produce in a child's life.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And you're also going to Muskegon Community College,
Yes,
and you're pursuing a career somewhat in politics and law. And tell us about that. That's quite an undertaking you got going there too.
Growing up, they say you have to choose a career that you want because you got to. Then we can start directing your path that way. Well, I couldn't decide between being a teacher, a lawyer, or being a politician. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna defy odds. I'm gonna do all three.
Okay.
So I have always had this passion for teaching. The idea that you're molding minds, you're helping people contribute to the next generation, and you're doing your job to make sure that our future gets passed on, our future is handled in the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to teach my first year out of high school at Mona Shore High School. 2 weeks before school started, our debate teacher had to step down and take care of his mom. She was very sick. So it was like, hey, do you mind coming in and volunteering for 2 weeks just to get another teacher involved? Well, that 2 weeks turned into the entire semester. So I'm this 18-year-old kid at the time, waking up, making curriculum, making lesson plans, making tests, exams, getting up at 6 in order to go and teach a class. So really being involved, and I fell in love with that idea. And I got to teach. One of the best things about that experience, I got to teach right after the election. So in a time where we had a hostile environment, people were disagreeing on fundamental issues, and there was lots of hatred involved after the election, I got to teach classes who said, effective discourse, and learn that you can disagree with someone in a respectful manner and walk away knowing that, hey, either I'm going to change their mind, they'll become strong in their beliefs, or we'll walk away knowing that I might disagree with them, but I respect their opinions. So that's where my love of teaching was born. As far as law goes, when I used to be little and I lived with my grandmother, I used to wake up faithfully every morning and watch court shows with her.
Okay.
And I would play judge.
Okay.
One of my favorite judges that I used to watch growing up was Judge Joe Brown.
Okay.
He was this hard, stern, older guy who really held people accountable. So I think that's where my passion for law was formed. I've always enjoyed this idea of understanding complex issues and truly understanding how society functions. Like, how do we decide what this punishment is, or like, do we just make this up on the end, or is it like some really set in stone system that we follow? And that's why I fell in love with law. Then I said politics came from when I was at a very young age and just really fell in love with helping people.
Okay. So do you see yourself maybe sometime in the future running for public office yourself?
Yes, sir. So I guess it's probably the best platform to do it. I plan on running for school board this year.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir. I think that I've had lots of problems with the way our education system is set up, and I think that we need someone who is fresh out of high school, who understands the complexity behind high school, who understands that the things that happen inside of high school that really aren't the correct way and the way the system functions. But beyond that, I think we need someone who's going to truly advocate for youth and people my age. I don't know anyone better than someone my age. I think I can understand it because I am experiencing it and had just experienced it.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, did you hear that, folks? Did you hear that? That was an announcement that
Yes,
this young man just made. He's going to be running for
Yes,
the
sir.
school board. Absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And I wish you the very, very best. I think that you will do an excellent job. I really do. I think you'll do an excellent job on the school board and improve the direction that they're headed in. I think you have a lot to offer.
Appreciate that.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
That's wonderful. Looking forward to it, I'm sure.
I am.
Yeah. Now there's something else on your plate there.
There will be lots of things on my plate.
Yeah.
I joke with my friends all the time that with all the campaigns going to work on, including my own, it's like, I might have to hire an assistant because I'll be so, especially on election day. I'm looking forward to election day, but I'm not. Because I can't imagine how busy that day will be. I'll be checking results for myself, several other candidates, trying to stay updated. So this election season is going to be a very busy election season.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Working on campaigns and running the campaign.
Yes, sir.
So that's wow, that's a lot. Have you decided how exactly you're going to do it yet, as far as your campaign and?
I think that
developing it.
I think that the most important issue that we're seeing is the weakening of our teachers' unions. I think that what we just saw here in Muskegon was that when the superintendent gave it all of these raises, right, and we saw a huge raise given out to all these administrative positions. And I think that the problem is when you're already projected to not meet your budget and you're already projected to have less students than you accounted for, you're putting yourself in a huge bind. And when you have to make up huge binds in these huge gaping holes in funding, who always takes the cut? Like, it's teachers. Teachers are always one whose salaries are cut, right? That's always been something that I didn't understand. There is no job in the world to where everyone has been through. Everyone in their lifetime has been through a teacher to get to where they are. No matter if they stopped at high school, but everyone has to go through teachers to become the person they are today. So the lack of respect that we have for teachers and the way we treat them baffles me. I don't understand how we can ask them to do so much to mold the minds of future generations, to make sure that these students are prepared to step into the world, and yet we constantly ask them to do more with less. And I think that the burden upon teachers it's hard to teach. Because you go in every day knowing that I'm affecting someone's life for the rest of their life. What I do inside of my classroom will either affect someone positively or negatively. So when we constantly ask teachers to do all this work and to teach this heavy burden, but then we ask them to do it for less and less and less every year, there's no wonder why there's a revolving door with teachers leaving and coming back and leaving the teaching industry. So I think that that's one of the most important issues about strengthening teachers' unions, giving teachers the power to truly collectively bargain and get the rates that they not only deserve, but they have more than work for. It's just a matter of respect and lesson that you do a lot for us. It's time we return the favor.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, the teachers' unions are going to love to hear that.
That's true.
Yeah, they're going to love that. That's great. But our educational system does need all the help that it can get, and teachers do, they are underappreciated, and we do need to do things to help support the teachers and what they do. You're right. I agree. It's very, very important. Teachers do affect the lives of human beings for the rest of their lives. I can remember at my age now, never mind what that is.
Like 22.
I can remember at my age even, some of the teachers that I had in school, in high school and middle school, and how they influenced me and they really make an impact. So it's important. Education is a very, very, very important area and aspect in a person's life. So yeah, I wish you well with that. That's great. That's great. That's nice to know, and I certainly wish you all the best in your campaign and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got a lot on your plate, man. I don't know how you do it, but I'm sure there are not enough hours in the day for you.
Oh man, there are not.
Yeah.
But if you really want to show that you are supporting my campaign, come to campaigns and you get out and volunteer for me. That would be
all right.
Knock a couple of doors.
Okay.
Show that shining face. That would be great.
All right. I know you're gonna need a lot of help.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'll need a lot of help and everything. So I know you'll be getting the word out and so forth. I'm not sure how a campaign works exactly, the intricate details, but I know you'll lay all that out. When you,
yes, sir.
Get your army straight, get them lined up, get your ducks in order.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's good. That's good. Again, we wish you very well with
Thank
that. That's good. So you're going to be very, very busy. Today, it just so happens, today is Dr. King Day.
That is very true. This is a
Isn't that
very
awesome?
good day for that interview.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And so it's good to have you on this day as well. And so I just, in light of that, I wanted to just kind of get your thoughts and your thinkings and your feelings as a young man, your ideas on the state of African American affairs as it relates to these United States in 2018.
With it being MLK Day, we can look back at his speech and look at what he stood for. And to me, it deeply saddens me that I'm still fighting for the same things that MLK was fighting for. When I look back into the past of MLK's speech, there's no way that I should still be talking about how police brutality affects African Americans in this country. It's not a thing that should occur. But I think that when it comes to the status of African Americans today, we have to look at what exactly is going on in our world. We have a president who is very clearly against people who are not white. And with his most recent comments calling Haiti and Africa blank hole countries, it's something that I don't understand. Our people built this country. I think that's one thing that people often forget or like to forget. Without our people, this country would not exist. People always say that, slavery is so long ago, but what follows slavery? A history of discrimination, segregation, and disenfranchisement of black men and women. We moved from a system of slavery to mass incarcerating black people to make sure that there's no way you can get a job, There's no way that you can vote. There's no way you can have an effective contribution to society without our say-so. I think that's one thing people don't understand. People seem to look at slavery as an economic system, right? But slavery at its base was a system that made sure that we could do nothing without the white man's say-so. So we couldn't vote. We had no rights. We couldn't get married. We couldn't affect our life in a positive manner without their allowing us to. And that's what the prison industrial complex does today. That's what mass incarceration does. It makes sure that you can't vote. It makes sure that you have no say-so when it happens in your life. It makes sure that you can't get a job. You depend upon the government to help you, and they will only allow you to elevate in your life so much. So when it comes to the status of African Americans today, sure, in some aspects we have gotten better. And I think that because we've gotten better, people have gotten lax, and people have gotten, they've gotten comfortable with where we live. And I think that's becoming very clear when you have things like Charlottesville that occurs where people no longer feel the need to wear a mask and blatantly show their hatred for someone strictly based on the color of their skin. I think that it shows just how far we've regressed. Don't get me wrong, I said there are some areas we've made progress in, but for the most part, when people in Grand Rapids are poorer than they were 50 years ago, you can't look at them in the face and say, hey, we made progress, because they see a different story. They see something completely different. They see that they are poorer than their ancestors were. There's nothing more than your ancestors want you to do better than they have.
Right.
So to see that our people are doing worse off now, it baffles me. I truly don't understand what it's going to take for this country to realize that we all have implicit biases that inform how we react in society. And it's about non-people of color recognizing that, hey, I live a life different than people of color do. A white mom and dad, that's not the wake up saying, I wonder if my kid will get shot today. A white mom and dad have to worry about, my kid's doing nothing. Will he get pulled over by a cop and be subject to abuse brutality? When you can recognize that you don't have those worries, you can truly say that, I actually just what a lot different than people of color do. And it's my job to address and change that.
Right. That's awesome. Very well said. Very well put. Because we have a lot of work to do.
We do.
We have a lot of work to do. And I've always said that, we have a lot of work to do within our own people too. We have some things that we have to work on, and some issues that we have to resolve.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so it's not all the outside. Some things are internal.
Yes, sir.
That we have to deal with as well, and some things we have to unlearn.
Yes, sir.
And as the Bible says, renew our minds and become strengthened that way. Does your faith in Christ, how does that relate and help you when you are facing and attacking these kinds of issues and situations that we're dealing with on a day like King Day?
Well, there's a couple things that I think about, and anytime I face a hard issue or I think that things are truly getting down, I think of a couple of Bible verses. One, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And two, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And those are things that really keep me going. My faith is the main thing that keeps me going through this entire process. I am promised a kingdom at the end of my life so long as I align my life with the beliefs and values of the God that I serve. So as long as I do that, I know that I will achieve my peace at the end of my day. It's about making sure that I work hard to achieve the peace on earth, achieve the life that they want to live on earth. And I think that it is through faith that I say that, you know what, I know that there's some light at the end of this tunnel. It's going to take some work. Just like, my faith takes some work. Just like, if I have the faith of mother's seed, I can truly make through this life. So I have to have faith in what I do here on earth just to do in God that I serve.
Right. Awesome. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear you say that, because and yes, I'm a minister. I preach the gospel, but I happen to think that Christ is the answer for a lot of our issues and the things that we're facing, and so I push Christ first and foremost, and it's good to live in these United States, but we're also blessed to live in a world where we're free, or in a country where we're free, and we have the rights that we do, but we have to also, put things in the proper perspective and the proper prioritized order, so that we're able to be successful.
Yes, sir.
That's great. Well, before we leave, I would really like to hear what you would have to say to young people today. What kind of encouragement would you give the young folks today, moving forward in this atmosphere, this world, our nation, etc.? What would you say? Do you have any words for them?
Yeah, I think so. As young people, we have to realize that we're young. That the older generation, that their time is leaving as far as their involvement and how much they can affect change. And I think as long as we realize that nothing can happen without us, right?
That's true.
So sure, like the older generation gets something started, but nothing gets pushed through, nothing gets finished without us. It's about recognizing that and recognizing your importance inside of society, right? It's about recognizing that if I get my education, there's no stopping. But recognizing that as long as I can stand up for what I believe in, that there's no stopping. It's about that. One of my favorite quotes is, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think that once we all realize that it is our job to make the world that we want to see, that we want to live in, as young people, we can affect such positive change. And I think that that's one of the most important things. Take your education, but realize that nothing happens without us.
Right. You are so right about that. I don't know who said it, but the statements made, that old men are for counsel, young men are for war, and we need each other.
Yes.
And I say it to the congregation at New Hope all the time. I say I don't want to be in a church that lacks two things: old people and young people.
Yes, sir.
You need them both.
That's very true.
You really do. You need young and the old, and so both have to understand that, and so we can move this thing in a powerful way together and make progress together. So I'm excited about your future, Brother Third Year.
Thank you.
Yes, buddy. You look like you were on the right track. You were on the right road, and I'm looking for great things to come from you. Yeah, in about 20 years or so, I'll roll this tape and I'll say, look, I interviewed you first.
Yes, sir, that's true.
But thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
And we wish you well. And I look forward to doing this again sometime in the future.
Sounds great.
Especially after you're elected to the school board. We'll get back with you and see what's on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
And where the school board is going at that time. But I think you're going to do a great job. Yeah, so thank you so much. We're all out of time, but certainly not out of word. We have to go, but we do want to thank our viewing audience for joining us again today on another edition of the Focus program. And so as we prepare to leave, we want to remind you, always remember, always, and never forget, when you get with Jesus, you're going up. God bless you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you.